2024 Heck Crichton Trophy winner, former superstar Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawks quarterback Taylor Elgersma, also currently a free agent on both sides of the border. Taylor, I want to go back with you. Green Bay Packers training camp. What was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. I think I learned a lot. I think I grew a lot as a player. Being able to learn from coaches like Matt LaFleur, Adam Stenovich, from players like Jordan Love, Malik Willis, and Sean Clifford, and compete with those guys and be able to play in those environments and challenge myself and run out there in Lambeau and take my first NFL snaps. I think was all great for my growth and development as a player.
There were some moments that seemed surreal, and I think it's just because you came from youth sports. Like, you go to Green Bay, you hit the game-winning home run in a softball charity game, and I thought, okay, he's already getting some hype. Then you have the practice at Lambeau, where you throw a touchdown and do the Lambeau leap. What was it like for you to actually execute in those moments?
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it was just soaking these experiences in and trying to also showcase who I am as a person in this as well. I think that a big part of being a good quarterback is you have to be a good teammate, and I think having fun with the guys and being able to let my personality shine through as we execute, and like you said, having fun moments like in Jordan's home run derby competition for charity, and obviously the open practice at Lambeau was super cool. Being able to get out there for the first time and compete with the guys and throw the ball in front of that many people was so much fun.
Not just throw the ball, you threw a dime on that touchdown pass. What was that experience like to be Taylor Elgersma throwing a touchdown pass in your first practice at a packed Lambeau field?
I mean, it was super cool. I think, like you said, my mind was focused on executing, and I'm out there trying to win a job every single snap and showcase who I am. And so, when I got a call to take a deep shot, Matt gave me a deep shot at the end of that practice, and just wanted to go hit it. And Will Shepard was the guy who caught it for me. He played at Colorado. He ran a great route, and just being able to connect with him, have that time with him after, we both get to jump up into the stands and have our little moment there at practice was super cool.
What was your mindset like at training camp? And I ask that because you're coming from youth sports, and here you are at an NFL training camp where you said every single rep matters. Did you feel the pressure, or were you just locked in on the next rep?
I think that, of course there's an element of pressure with it. You're playing in the NFL. I think you have to expect pressure. I think that every single rep, like you said, you're competing against the best in the world. You're getting evaluated by every single rep, and you don't have a lot of reps if you're a young guy or a UDFA guy like I was. And so, trying to make the most of every single snap I get out there, trying to show development and growth in my game every single time I get out there and take coaching points and learn and get better.
It seemed like you showed that growth every preseason game. What was it like to actually suit up in an NFL exhibition contest, and not just suit up, but play well?
Yeah, I mean, that's a dream come true. I was talking about it with someone earlier today, thinking back to, running out there in Indy and seeing Peyton Manning's name up on the rafters and just being able to take that in and then, go out there and, lead a huddle of guys. And I think that once you're playing football, my mindset's just on playing ball. And I think you see that in the way I played. I played the game the same way I did when I played here at Laurier, and I'll always play that, same brand of football. And I think that, it's just about, being that leader of the huddle no matter where the stage is. And so I think it was obviously a unique opportunity, but one I hope to get again soon.
What was it like for you to work closely with Matt LaFleur, who's viewed as an offensive guru in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, super beneficial for me. I mean, being able to be in that offense, see how he sees the game, see how much emphasis there is on timing and rhythm in the offense, and watching Jordan be able to go out there and execute it day after day in practice, and then go back in the film room and see where he's getting critiqued and where I'm getting critiqued on every single rep. And, Matt's a very hands-on coach with his offense. He was in our quarterback room consistently throughout training camp every single day. And so I got to hear those coaching points from him each and every day.
What was it like to be in that quarterback room with a franchise guy like Jordan Love, who's making $50 million a year?
Yeah, I mean, it was super fun, first of all. That whole room was an outstanding group of guys. Everyone plays the game for the right reasons and plays the game the right way. I mean, start with Jordan, obviously he's the head of the group, and he's such a great dude that he took me under his wing, and I got to learn a lot from him, and he coached me up. I sat beside him in meetings every single day, and then look at guys like Malik, who are just unbelievably talented, and being able to see what they can do, and then working alongside a guy like Sean Clifford, who I'm competing against but has been in the league for a couple years, and we have an outstanding relationship where we challenge each other and helped each other grow. And so I think that whole room really helped shape me.
It seemed like from Matt LaFleur's comments at press conferences after games that you took the lead for that number 3 quarterback position to potentially be on the practice roster or active roster, wherever they wanted to put you. What was it like to go through that process of the roster cutdowns?
Yeah, I think that obviously was my first experience of, the pro game and how it operates and how it moves. And obviously I'm, proud of what I was able to put out there and think that I did a good job competing in that room. And but I also know there's a lot, more that I can do in my game to continue to, open up these doors and allow myself to stick. And so, I'm happy with, what I showed in that first training camp, but I'm hopeful that there's going to be more opportunities to continue to grow and that, someone will take another chance on me.
Did you feel like you had won the number 3 job?
I think that, it's not necessarily my decision to make, but I think that I did well enough to show that I deserved a chance in the NFL. And I think that that's ultimately where, my mindset is I think that I showed, some of my raw talent. I think I showed my ability to process, my ability to understand an offense and, get to the right checks and, execute in game in the preseason like we talked about. I think that I did a good job leading scoring drives when I was out there. But I also know that there's a lot of, room to grow in my game still, and that, that's all part of that. And, I'm obviously not the one making the end decision, but all I can do is show up and be myself every day.
How did you get the news that you had been released and weren't going to be with the Packers anymore?
Yes, same way as everyone else. We're sitting in the team hotel, you get a call, and scout comes in, he tells you, pass me your iPad, you get a bag, and then you're on your way. And I obviously got to sit down and talk with some of the coaching staff there, and express my appreciation for them bringing me in and talk through some things with them. But yeah, it's pretty quick.
From what I understand, you took that upon yourself to go and talk to guys like Matt LaFleur. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was important for me to not, being a player from Canada and being a youth sports player to, go into those rooms and say, hey, I appreciate you guys, taking the swing on me, and I hope that you guys see the way I work at this game. And, I was able to have some pretty candid conversations with them about, how I approach the game, and I was very appreciative of the feedback I got from them, despite the situation we were in. And so, yeah, it was cool.
Definitely think it shows your character. What was it like to go through the waiver process, the workouts that you've been doing, and waiting for that NFL contract to come?
Yeah, I think it's a test of your mental fortitude, and it's about, this is what this pro game is about. Is there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, but being able to continue to push forward, being, blessed with the opportunity to go work out in front of 4 NFL teams, get flown out there, be at their facilities, and throw in front of their coaches has been a blessing. I think that a lot of free agents don't get that opportunity, and so I'm very thankful for that, and I'm excited to continue this process and, excited for what opportunities happen next.
People talk about players getting NFL workouts, but what actually happens behind the scenes? What time do they get you up? What time do you arrive at the facility? What are they putting you through before they let you go?
Yeah, each team has their own process of how they run the workouts, but generally they're very fast. They'll fly you in the night before, you'll get up early the next morning, and then normally just get out there on the field and run. And for a quarterback, it's about, a lot of times you're throwing routes on air, and you'll throw a set amount of routes to each side of the field, and then shake someone's hand, and they'll say, appreciate your time, and they'll give you your feedback, and you'll be on your way. And so each team runs it differently, but it is very fast, and there's not a lot of prep time, and it's not like you're around the building for a long time. You're in and you're out. And so, yeah.
Can you get used to doing these NFL workouts because you've done so many of them?
I think that, uncomfortable situations build you, and I think that, like anything, the more you do them, the easier they get, but it's all about being adaptable. That's what, being thrown into a training camp is. That's what these workouts are like. A lot of times being an undrafted guy in a pro league, you have to, be comfortable to just go out there and perform no matter what they are asking of you, and that's exactly what they do at the workouts to see if you can do that.
Through the NFL process so far, who's the most famous person that you've seen or talked to?
That's a very interesting question. Most famous person I've seen, probably Peyton Manning. When I was doing the draft process in QB country and being able to, see him and Eli on the screen. Eli came and talked to a bunch of the Zoom call guys when we were doing our draft prep with QB country. So I would say those two for sure.
Those are some big names, man. You get nervous when you're around people like the Mannings?
I mean, I was lucky it wasn't too much of a pressure situation. We were able to just kind of sit there on the camera and listen from them and learn about what they were talking about. And I was with a bunch of other guys in the NFL draft process at the time. So, no, it wasn't too much pressure situation. But, no, I don't get nervous. I think at the end of the day, everyone's football guys. Everyone just wants to talk ball, and they love football. And so I'm the same way.
Do you remember any of the advice that Peyton Manning gave you?
I think it was just quick. Him and Eli hopped on. They just talked about, the way you attack in meeting rooms, the way you carry yourself, day in and day out, and being the guy in the locker room that, franchises look to. And it was a thing with, a couple other quarterbacks, Tyler Shuck, Dylan Gabriel, some of the other guys that were going through those, draft evaluating processes like I was. And so, it was cool, but it was very much centered around just carrying yourself the right way in and out of the building.
When you go through a process like that with Tyler Shuck, for example, who could be the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, and you're so close to it, does that give you confidence that this still can be a possibility to get a shot in the NFL and earn a job?
100%. I think that when I think back to the Senior Bowl and, being on the team with Tyler, being on a team with Dylan, and playing against Jackson Dart, and being with them at practice every single week, I think I competed right there alongside those guys, and being able to watch what they've done in their rookie years is super incredible. Both Tyler and Jackson have had unbelievable rookie years, and obviously I was close with Dylan when he was down there, and watching how high he got picked and how he performed, and Riley Leonard, Jalen Milroe, the list goes on. And I think that I'm right there in that group of guys, and I think it does give me confidence that I can compete there and that I can get another shot.
Do you think there's a Canadian bias that you have to fight through that makes it a little more harder for you?
I think that, that's a reality of the situation, that, I haven't played the 4-down game, and, my resume is built on the Canadian game. And I think that, it's naive to think that that wouldn't be something that you have to work through as a Canadian. I think that, quite frankly, if I was an NFL GM and, there was a player who hadn't played my game, I would maybe have some questions as well. And so I don't think that it's something that I need to look at as like, poor me that I have to go through this, but more of this is an opportunity and the challenge that I signed up for to go and prove these people wrong, and to go and showcase that even though I didn't play the 4-down game in college, that, I can build an American football resume that stands alongside my Canadian football resume, and that I can perform at this level. And so I think it's about mindset and how you look at these things. And I think that that's something that I'm trying to frame in a positive way, that I get the opportunity to go and compete and change the narrative on, as opposed to looking at it as a negative.
You alluded to experience in the 4-down game. The Baltimore Stallions in the United Football League, whose head coach is A.J. McCarron, former NFL quarterback, a great quarterback at the University of Alabama, selected you in the quarterback draft. How did you find out that you were selected?
I got a call from the GM of the Stallions, and he let me know that they were going to put my name in, and I just talked to him and said I was super excited and I appreciated the selection, and then I talked to AJ and just let him know the same thing.
In terms of your future, are you still focused on the NFL, or where might the UFL fit in?
I think for me, I'm super excited about the doors that God has opened for me for football. Obviously, this recent selection by Birmingham is super exciting. I think that's a great opportunity to go and play the 4-down game, and to learn and develop under great coaching like AJ, like you said. And I think that we're gonna get everything signed and sealed here in the next little bit, no matter where that is. But I'm super excited about that opportunity and being selected by Birmingham.
It seems like from an NFL perspective, you need all these head coaching vacancies to be filled. There's still one general manager spot to be filled as well, so you can get some clear vision there. Is that sort of the plan moving forward, NFL first and then perhaps pivot to the UFL?
I think that there's always, NFL opportunities, and I think that that's something that you continue to always talk to teams about. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's everyone's goal to play at the highest level of football. Everyone who's playing in the UFL and coaching in the UFL knows that, at the NFL end of the day, we all want to earn contracts in the NFL. And I think that that's part of this league. I think that's what's part of the goal of this league, is to help develop guys to get those opportunities. And so, for me, I think that they kind of fit hand in hand. Is we're trying to build, a resume that can allow me to get another opportunity in training camp.
You do have that backup opportunity, let's call it, because the Winnipeg Blue Bombers selected you in the 2025 CFL draft. Got to get my years right. Some Bombers fans are saying, well, why doesn't he just come up to Canada and play? But Zach Collaros is there as the franchise guy. They have some other talented quarterbacks in that room. So I guess what would you say to the Bombers fans? There's been so much speculation about it.
Well, firstly, I would say is Winnipeg's not a backup for anything. I, have great respect for the culture of that locker room, for what the CFL is, and I don't view it at all as a plan A or plan B. I've said all along throughout, the draft process and everything when I was interviewed by teams that, my goal is to be a pro quarterback, and that's ultimately what my dream has always been, to make a living, playing the game I love. And I think that, with timing of things and being Canadian, all the things that we were just talking about, that, it's important to look at the timeline of opportunities. And I think that, right now is the NFL window. And I think that, for me, being able to build my resume in the American game is only going to continue to allow me to grow and develop as a player. And I think that I've seen a lot of growth in my game through going through training camp with the Packers, preseason, the draft prep, all the things that we just talked about. And so, when I think about my career, I think it's going to be a long one. And I don't think of Winnipeg as a backup at all.
Well said. You've used your time in and around these workouts to be around the Laurier program, coach the Laurier program, and you and Ethan Jordan have actually developed your own camp. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I think that we both, love football in this area. We both love Canadian football, and we both were blessed to have great, careers here at Laurier. And so for me, I've been able to be back, help coach the quarterbacks here, and learn with Coach Galloway and continue to be with him and develop the offense, but also start our own thing with Ethan Jordan, who was my number one target here at Laurier, and I'm blessed to be able to call such a close friend of mine. And we started Path to the Pros football, which is football training for young athletes, and we're both still chasing our football dreams, and we want to help young people chase theirs. And so as I'm continuing to push my career forward and focus on my goals, I want to be able to give back and train guys that want to get to the spots that we're at one day. And so I know EJ does as well, and we're super excited about it.
You're giving back in that way, and you're also giving back to the program by being around and being at least a sounding board for Cal Wither. How good can he be?
Yeah, I mean, being able to be around, every game at Laurier last year and watch Cal and be on the sidelines with him, and he obviously has a good background in football. He played, D1, and he's a very good thrower on the move. He throws the ball accurately, running to the left and to the right. He helps our offense open up. He has a quick release. He understands the reads in our offense, and he played really well last year and got the ball into our playmakers' hands. And so I think that he has a high ceiling. I think he's going to go out there again this year and showcase why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Can he make it 3 straight Heck Crichton trophies at Laurier?
I think so. I think it's going to come from Laurier again. I think we have a lot of talent in this locker room, and Cal's one of those guys. And I think that if our offense goes out there and does what they're supposed to do again, and I know our Coach V-led defense is going to do what they're supposed to do, and I think there's going to be opportunities for guys to win individual awards. But one thing we've always said over here at Laurier football, and this rings true for me, this rings true for EJ, is that individual awards are a product of team success. And ultimately, if we have team success, we're going to put guys in position to get the individual recognition. But if we chase individual recognition, then we're not going to get it.
Cal Wither told me that he could potentially be eligible for the 2027 CFL draft and 2027 NFL draft. Can he follow a similar path to what you've done, gaining interest on both sides of the border?
Yeah, I think that obviously my path is unique, and every single player is going to have their own unique path. But I think that Cal is a talented football player, and I think that he's going to carve out his own path, post-Laurier. And obviously a lot of it's going to depend on what happens this year, what happens with him in draft prep. And he has a lot of, things to continue to go through. But I think that, he has, a hard work ethic. He wants to chase this. And I think that hopefully guys like me, guys like Trey are going to open up doors for quarterbacks that are strong across this country. Not only Cal, but other guys that are talented across this country to get opportunities in the pro level.
Thanks for the time, Taylor.
Of course. Appreciate you.